Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site, bettingangle.us, a free site. It is the day after Devin Haney successfully defended his belts against Vasily Lomachenko, or so the judges found. Let's talk about the fight, but first remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, let me just say a few things. First, there's some nights when boxing just gets it right. You remember the great events in boxing. From this seat, the last great event where the whole thing just fit together, where you are looking at the fight and you thought, wow, this is a memorable fight, where the announcers, Andre Ward, Timothy Bradley, Joe Tessitore, Max Kellerman, Mark Kriegel, just were perfect. The crowd was perfect. This wasn't a Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson crowd that was shell-shocked and not cheering. This was a partisan crowd, partisans on both sides. This really had the kind of overhang that Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko had, right? Great venue, MGM, Las Vegas, the whole thing just fit together. Understand, too, as for the fighters themselves, this was not a fight that involved, let's say, a young lion who is still figuring out his way around the jungle. There were no Ryan Garcias in this fight. You had two masters. We know that now, having watched the fight. You had a clear master going into the fight, Lomachenko, and you had a young lion who was feeling himself, who was learning the sport, Devin Haney, right, who was undisputed. Folks, I believe this sport firmly helps the careers of both men. We'll talk about a winner and a loser here, but just understand, we know both men won this fight, right? We know that. Now, let's just talk about a few things that you should be mindful of. I know the press is reporting Devin Haney losing his composure at the weigh-in and pushing Loma. Understand, there were a lot of bullies at weigh-ins. There are very few bullies once the fight actually starts in the ring, right? I need for people to also key on, because it's pivotal here, the dialogue taking place between the two Hall of Famers, Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley, early in the fight. Bradley is a little upset. He wants to see guys throwing 3, 4, 5-punch combinations. Andre Ward, a little bit more cautious, says it's too early in the fight. They should only throw 2, maybe 3-punch combinations. You don't want to leave yourself open against a fully rested opponent, a guy who has not been diminished by the action. If you're into boxing strategy, please listen to the commentary, not just look at the action. Now, my scorecard's going to be different than many of yours. Let's talk about my bias, which is already online from the pre-fight video. When I heard that I was getting a better than a plus 200 on the Lomachenko side of the play, this bet made itself for me, right? As long as Loma's fighting in his weight class and he's not fighting Terrence Crawford or Dimitri Bivol, as long as he's in his weight class, there is no man at 135 who should be getting 2-1 or better odds against Lomachenko. So this bet made itself, right? For me, at least. My hedge was the over because, again, Loma's never been knocked out in his professional career, right? The over has hit on every Loma fight. And here, Devin Haney, excellent fighter, right? I believe he's a future Hall of Famer after this fight, right? But Devin Haney doesn't hit like Gervonta Davis, right? He's just not that level of puncher. So I went into this fight and I was rooting for Lomachenko. Let's go through my scorecard round by round, compare it to yours. I deliberately have not looked at the CompuBox numbers. I want to score fights off my own eyes, right? I'll look at the CompuBox numbers later. You can double check what I'm saying here by the CompuBox numbers, but I need for people to figure out a few things here. Loma is a southpaw. When he's landing straight lefts, that's his on hand. That's his dominant hand. There's a lot of bluffing in this fight. Just understand, I thought Devin Haney was badly hurt by, let's say, the end of the 9th round. I thought guys were bluffing because guys are masters. There's a poker element in boxing where whatever hand you have, you're sitting at the table or standing in the ring looking confident, right? Just keep that in mind. Also, tall man, my expectation was that the taller fighter with one of boxing's better jabs, Devin Haney, would try to leverage his height, would try to be outside, would try to be riddling Loma with jabs, would try to use that reach to his advantage. There's a moment in this fight where Haney's father says to him in the corner, okay, now stick and move, basically. Use the jab, be outside. I need to have people realize that Devin Haney makes an adjustment in this fight. It's a major adjustment. I believe he goes rogue. He figures out, believe it or not, and it's one of the wows in this fight, he figures out that he's actually more effective in the pocket against Loma than he is outside backing away behind a jab. Let's also talk about an analog fight in history. There are many people, and I mean many, who saw Marvin Hagler against Ray Leonard. And they're of the mindset that if you count the body shots, Marvin Hagler wins that fight. Not only that, there are many people who feel that whoever Ray Leonard was, and Ray was loved, right? Ray's a Manny Pacquiao type figure. Ray was loved back then, right? Whoever Ray Leonard was, to take a guy's title, you have to beat him. You have to beat the champ. You can't come close or have it be a iffy thing. If the public's uncertain on who won the fight, there are a lot of people who will say, well, Marvin Hagler was the champ going into the ring. Marvin Hagler should have left with his title. I know Dave Moretti is getting roughed up here, the 8-4 judge, right? But just understand, boxing doesn't have a complete consensus in this area, right? There are those who say if you win the fight, you win the title. There are others who say you really have to win the fight. It has to be clear. If it's iffy at all, I'm not giving you the round. Let's talk about my scorecard. Please disagree with me on any round and talk about it in the comment section of this video. This video is really just an invitation to discuss the fight in the comment section, right? The first round, and I enter this fight unashamedly supporting Loma. I thought the line was ridiculous. I thought he's getting dissed. I saw him get pushed at the weigh-in. I thought this is getting completely disrespectful, right? I wanted the old lion to beat the young lion. Then I wanted the old lion to say, okay, Lefty, Shakur Stevenson, you're here ringside. Let's do this. Or if Shakur said no, then to say, all right, big hitting Lefty. Gervonta Davis, you and I know it's our time. Left-handers are taking over here. Let's do this. That was my mindset. Ding, ding, round one starts. I saw round one. I saw a guy with a jab. He's active with it. He controls the fight for at least a round for long stretches. I gave round 1 to the champ, Devin Haney. We get to round 2. Devin Haney throws a wicked right hook to Loma's body. Right? I'm telling you, I'm not sure if Devin Haney was planning on being pocket-centric here. I believe Devin Haney is in the pocket against a guy who is very fluid, master boxer, and he finds that he's having some success going to the body. I gave the second round to Devin Haney. We get to the third round, and you see the dynamic of Loma's better presence. You also notice that in a fight between two guys with great legs, that Lomachenko has the better legs. Loma, too, looks like he can get on his front foot when he wants. In other words, Devin Haney's in the pocket, but it's not like Loma can't come forward on demand. I gave the third round to Lomachenko. Now, I believe most of us can agree that after the first 3 rounds, because these are 3 of the cleaner rounds in the fight, and by the way, Loma is landing the cleaner shots. I think we can agree that after 3 rounds, Devin Haney is up 2 rounds to 1. Here's where everyone's card diverges. I believe you get 100 people in a room, you're going to have 90 different cards. The fight was that way. In the 4th round, Devin Haney is on his back foot and he's effective. I believe the fighters, even though they're trying to look like they're comfortable with each other, are still learning each other. I'm going to disagree with the telecasts here. I gave the 4th round to Devin Haney. I thought his jab was too much of a factor. I thought Devin was able to spin away from Loma at times. Devin seemed more active to me, seemed to control the pacing more. I gave the 4th round to Devin Haney. So Haney's up 3 rounds to 1 on my card. Now I need for people to pay close attention to the idea of 6 rounds. Because if Devin Haney gets to 6 rounds, he leaves with his titles. Right? Just understand, ties, draws, the champ keeps their titles. Loma has to stop Devin Haney from getting to 6 rounds. A draw isn't enough for Loma. So if Devin Haney is up 3 rounds to 1 at the end of 4, the most Loma can allow him to win the rest of the fight is 2 rounds. Understand too, the early rounds count as much as the later rounds. We get to round 5. Loma discovers that he can land, really on demand, a straight left. He starts throwing double straight lefts. It's important because Loma is left-handed. There's bluffing going on in the ring. Loma is landing the heavier, cleaner shots. I'm guessing in the front row, Shakur Stevenson is beside himself, since Stevenson's also a southpaw and throws his own mean straight left. Right? Devin Haney, at this stage of his career, against a guy he presumably, or at least claims, he wanted to fight for the last 4 years, could not stop Lomachenko's straight left. Right? I'm guessing somewhere Gervonta Davis was excited. I gave the 5th round to Lomachenko. Here's where things really deviate, my scorecard versus the commentators on this fight. In the 6th round, I was struck by Haney's body shots. Right? Once you see him, same with the Ray Leonard Hagler fight, you can't look away from them. I gave Devin Haney the 6th round. I gave Devin Haney the 7th round. Right? In the 7th, Haney also lands a big left hook. Right? Haney is in the pocket. It's the shock of the fight for me. He's in the pocket. He's landing body shots. He's effective in the pocket against Lomachenko, a guy who has the faster hands to me, who I found out in this fight has the better legs. But Devin Haney, tall guy, giving away his height, crouched over, is more effective in the pocket. So what does this mean? This means that at the end of 7 rounds, I have Devin Haney up 5 rounds to 2. Understand, if my scorecard's right, Lomachenko could not afford to have Devin Haney win another round, absent a knockdown, a 10-8 round, because if Devin Haney won another round after the 7th, he would legitimately leave the ring with his belts. What this also means is that Loma in this fight makes the same mistake that he made in the Teofimo Lopez fight. He's starting too late. He hasn't left himself enough time to work with. He has to be perfect after the 7th round to have a viable claim that he's the champion. Now we understand what's really going on. Loma's in his 30s and has to pace himself in a way that a young man doesn't have to. There's a price for the stamina. You have to take your foot off the gas a little bit in the early rounds to have the juice for the later rounds. It cost him in the Teofimo Lopez fight. Here, he's down 5 rounds to 2 on my scorecard at the end of the 7th. We get to the 8th, and Loma's still landing that straight left. We get to the 9th. I gave the 8th to Loma. Now, the 9th round might be the most controversial of the fight for me. I gave the 9th round to Devin Haney. Understand, at the end of 9 rounds, and I thought Haney understood he needed to be active. Haney also understood he couldn't just move away from Loma. Loma is too good with his upper body that even with Haney's jab, Haney could not keep Loma outside with just the jab alone. Now here you have a Hall of Famer, and I really like the commentary in this fight. You had a Hall of Famer in the booth, Timothy Bradley. Please listen to him. He's A+, he's spot on. He's making the point that there are times in the fight where Loma's feet aren't right. Where Loma, because of how his feet are, couldn't throw punches if you bum rushed him. Right? Bradley wants Haney to be more aggressive. Now, Haney is being aggressive by being pocket-centric, more pocket-centric than Haney usually is. But Haney's also being cautious, and this is a personality thing. Right? He's being cautious by not charging in on Loma, in part because Loma's older, he's a master, he's experienced. Loma's feet might be a trap. So Haney is cautious, but within Haney's comfort zone. He's throwing enough punches. He's landing body shots. Right? Understand, it's a two-handed attack. The body shots are typically Haney's right hand. He's marrying it to a left jab and a left hook. So I gave Haney the 9th round. And with that, at the end of 9, I believe Haney had done enough to leave with the belts. I believe Haney's also bluffing. I believe Haney is more hurt than he's letting on. Right? We get to the 10th and 11th rounds. Haney looks hurt. He can't hide it. He's getting cuffed around. Understand, Loma is throwing his on hand, his dominant hand. And now, in addition to the straight left up top, Loma is throwing left hooks to Haney's body. Loma wins rounds 10 and 11. To me, it's 6-5 Haney going into the 12th round. And folks, I know on the telecast they're saying neither guy wants to make the first move type thing, right? You know, this round is there for somebody to take. I'm going to disagree with that. I felt Devin Haney came out and took the 12th round. I think Haney himself understood the fight was close. Understand, Haney has defended his title already in my eyes. He's won 6 rounds. I believe he puts the period at the end of the sentence by winning round 12. Please disagree with me if you saw a different fight. My scorecard had Devin Haney winning the fight 7 rounds to 5 rounds in a fight that had no 10-8 rounds that I saw and no knockdowns. Right? But I need for people to understand, and I know a lot of people are saying, this was a robbery. Right? I need for people to understand that had Devin Haney lost the 12th round, he still would leave the ring with his belts. Because in a draw in boxing, the champion retains his title. Right? So I don't agree with Dave Moretti, but I understand the mindset. This is a close fight, and there are people who say, well, this is a close fight. The champ survived it. I'm giving it to the champ. Right? But understand, 2 of the judges had it 115, 113 for Devin Haney. I can't say, based on my own 115, 113 scoring, I can't say that that's a robbery. Let me also say, too, that the fight had interesting moments. You don't remember the controversial moments because the referee, Harvey Dock, did an A-plus job. Understand what this fight could have been. At one point, the guys throw each other to the canvas. In other words, they literally just fall to the canvas together, not off punches, but off wrestling. Also, Lomachenko keeps putting his arm on the back of Devin Haney's neck. Devin Haney also is throwing shots that look like they're hitting the back of Loma's head. The referee is talking to the fighters. The referee makes sure that the fighters know he's seeing everything. The referee warns Devin Haney at one point to let him know, player, I'm seeing what you're doing in the back of this man's head. Right? The fight is refereed about as well as anybody here could have expected. And it needed it because this fight had some interesting moments. Right? So 5 stars all round. The referee, the broadcasting crew. Let me point out that at the end of 8 rounds, understand that both Max Kellerman and Mark Kriegel had the fight 4-4. I know there's controversy. At that point in the fight, I had it 5-3. Devin Haney. Right? Loma needed to find a way, and we can dispute this. please look at the film. Loma needed to find a way to win either or perhaps both rounds 6 and 7. I gave both of those rounds to Devin Haney. Right, let me point out too that when a guy enters the ring the champion, and here Devin Haney enters the ring undisputed. Right, let's be clear, undisputed. You really need to take his belts, don't you? If you're having a spirited conversation after the fight of who really won that fight, and if it's so close that, we're here saying, gee, 115, 113, was that out of order? And, stuff like that. Then that tells me in a fight where Loma does not, at least on my card, win the 12th round, that tells me that Loma left too much on the table here. Right? So, looking at Devin Haney at the weigh-in, my God, he was shredded, wasn't he? Didn't have an ounce of water in his body. This was a fight that had a guy who was too big for lightweight against a guy who is small for lightweight. This fight had a 10-year plus age gap between the two fighters. Right? Let's just say Loma has done more than enough to add another glorious chapter to his book of boxing, to his career. Right? It's a win for us to be looking at Loma and thinking, wow, did he win this fight? Right? But based on my scorecard, the answer is no. Courageous effort by both men. Both men's reputation are enhanced. This is an event that will age well like Hagler Leonard, especially if Devin Haney has success at 140. Right? But let me just say, because Devin looked really ripped at the weigh-in, looked like he had no water in his body, right? You were seeing ribs, you were seeing cartilage on his rib cage. Shakur Stevenson needs to fight him now, right? If not, then he's going to have to be chasing Devin Haney when Devin Haney weighs 140, right? As for Lomachenko, let's just say I get the feeling that if these two had a rematch, Loma would pick up where he left off, right? I had him winning rounds 10 and 11 pretty comfortably. If I'm Devin Haney, I avoid Loma. I know that's not what the fans want to hear, but I gave this man a shot at the belt. He was on his game, I was on my game, I survived it. In a world where there are a lot of other people around, right? Not just at 135, but at 140. Right? There are other chapters that young lion Devin Haney, I'm sure, wants to write. He's proven, and it's admirable, it's Hall of Fame worthy, that he could hold his own against Lomachenko. That's how I saw the fight. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. I thought Loma had a plan to come on strong late. I thought he waited too long to get that plan in place. I thought rounds 6 and 7, which I gave to Devin Haney, were key rounds in this fight. And I thought it gave Haney too much of a cushion to work with. As I've said, at the end of round 7, I had Devin Haney up 5 rounds to 2, and yes, I was looking at the body shots. That's the fight I saw. Let me hear about the fight you saw in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.